What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to my special collaboration video with a whole bunch of friends here on YouTube. The topic of this time, or this collaboration I wanted to go ahead and do was, what is your favorite game that you like to play in the fall, or what game reminds you of fall? You know, it's kind of a unique question. It's kind of hard to not do the typical Halloween answers, but it's all the same and it's all in good fun. So just go ahead and watch the video. Hopefully, you know a lot of these faces. Hopefully that you find a new game that you may enjoy and give it a shot. What is it they say? You don't have to take my word for it. Let's go.
What is up, guys? Justin here from Business 17 on behalf of Mr. Dude 206 and his collaboration video talking about a game that I like to break out and play around this time of the year. So we're getting into the fall season here, and my choice for this video is a little bit of nostalgia inception, I guess, and I'll explain that in a minute, but I'll go ahead and show my choice here, which is Rock and Roll Racing for the Sega Genesis. This game also came out on the Super Nintendo, and that's actually the version that I played when I was a kid. And so back when I seriously started collecting again, like 2011-ish, this is one on the Genesis that I just had to have. I wanted to play it right then and there, see how it compared to the Super Nintendo version, so I went online on eBay and just paid full retail price for it, which I think at the time was only like $25. I think it goes for a little more than that now. But the reason I remember it so vividly is because I received it in the mail, I think the week of Halloween 2011. And this was back when I was still living with my parents, and they were actually out of town that week. So I was kind of keeping an eye on the house and whatnot. And I just remember I got done with my classes at school for the day, and I raced home, and I just had plans on playing this game all night long. And so I shut off all the lights in the front of our house, and I pulled, at the time, my Jeep Grand Cherokee. I pulled it up and completely blocked the front entrance to our house. We had like a little fenced-in area that led to our front door. Completely blocked that off, and this was to ward off any trick-or-treaters that might interrupt my rock and roll racing binge session. And kind of a dick move, really, thinking back on it. But we never really got that many trick-or-treaters in that neighborhood anyway. But yeah, I basically sat there all night and played this game. I don't think I got all the way through it, but I got pretty close. And I guess the reason I say this is nostalgia inception is because back in 2011, the reason I bought this game is because I had nostalgia from playing it as a kid. And now, 2017, I get nostalgic for that feeling of sitting down on Halloween and playing this game all night. So, anyway, every fall or this time of year, I like to break this game out and give it a playthrough, even if I don't get all the way through it. Sweet racing game, awesome soundtrack, highly recommend it if you guys have never played this one. Check it out either on the Genesis or the Super Nintendo. They're both great. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for checking this out. Thank you, Mr. Dude 206, for having me on, and take care.
So Mr. Dude 206 had a video topic for a collaboration video I want to do. I want to know what one of my favorite games was to play in the fall. And I play this game at least once a year, and I end up beating it. And this is one of my top 10 favorite games of all time. This is Resident Evil 2, if you can't tell. I absolutely love this game. I've loved it since the day it came out. I'm a big fan of the original Resident Evil 1, but this game just kind of blew it out of the water and was leaps and bounds ahead of that game, in my opinion. I've beaten this game at least a dozen or so times, or more, and I always find something new in the game that I didn't notice before. I love the backgrounds of these PS1 games at the time. Final Fantasy 7 and 8 have it too as well, where instead of having like rendered 3D graphics in the back, there's these pre-rendered visuals, and I think it really works well for the time. I wish someone would bring that kind of style back, because I think it's really amazing, to be honest. So much fun with this game. Huge replayability factor here, because you can play as two characters, and then there's also two hidden characters, Tofu and Hunk. And Hunk itself is watch some speedruns of Hunk, and you'll understand. But the reason I love this game so much too was at the time when this game came out. I was a big zombie fanatic, and I loved Day of the Dead, like Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, the George Romero trilogy, and this game basically was one of those games like it had never really been done before, where you're in a zombie apocalypse and you have to run through the city. And you know, when I was younger, you can only imagine what it was like to have this setting like a zombie apocalypse. So here's my game. Thanks again, Mr. Dude, for letting me be part of your collaboration video. Appreciate it, man. Take care, guys. And if you've never played Resident Evil 2, go download it from the PlayStation Store right now, and you won't be disappointed.
Greetings, everybody. It's me, Justin, aka Gibble Hunter, and coming live from the game room. When Mr. Dude reached out to me, I thought it was a pretty good time to actually go into the collection and try to find games that I normally play during the fall, but unfortunately I don't really make it a point as far as, in the course of the year to, replay a game unless I really, really want to finish it, or I just have some time and it's probably something that I could just mindlessly mash through like Monster Hunter games. But thankfully this time of the year there was a game that came out just recently, Destiny 2. So I will definitely be playing this game. It's fun, it's addicting, it's Destiny. I recommend it if you have a lot of friends on either Xbox or PS4 or PC or whatever you game on. At least it has Destiny 2 in it. Yeah, it's fun. Party chat and stuff like that. And it kind of just gets me really pumped for, what's going to happen at the end of the year. We still got Mario Odyssey coming out. And, then it's Christmas. Maybe I'll get something else. Maybe I'll get a new console. I don't know. But it's definitely a game that you can go back to and kind of just lose yourself. I actually never did like Halo. I know, it's shocking. Probably I'm a very minority in that regards, but I never really got into Halo on the original Xbox or Xbox 360. Even though I have them, I haven't really given anything outside of the Halo multiplayer that I would play when we were stationed out in Iraq. That was fun, but outside of the whole story and Master Chief, man, I don't know anything about that. But if this is from the same company, Bungie, I know it's not the same, well, I guess it is the same developers, but probably not the same team, but they did a hell of a good job. And maybe I should go back and maybe I should actually play the Master Chief Collection if I owned an Xbox One, which I don't, because I got a PlayStation 4, because that's where I game. Where do you game? Anyways, y'all gotta leave because I gotta go take a dump. It's been brewing for a couple of days. Anyways, back to you, Mr. Dude.
So, what is a game that that I like to play this time of year? And when Stu, Mr. Dude 206, asked me this question, I thought about it. I had to think about it a little bit because there's a couple different types of games and a couple different games that I do enjoy playing this time of year. But I had to look for and think about what I look for in a game this time of year. Obviously, I want something with a little bit of a horror flavor, so that that there's a list of horror games that you could go on and on and on and play and be happy with, But I also got to thinking about this time of year, right? It's a little cooler. The temperature's starting to get lower. The weather's probably getting a little rainy. You're probably staying inside more. Things are slowing down. And so I like games that kind of, this time of year, I seem to enjoy games that are paced kind of slowly. So in thinking about that, the game I came to and one that I play, I realized I play every year. It's pretty slowly paced, and it's got the horror elements. Was D, originally released on the PlayStation 1, and if I'm not mistaken, it was a launch title. If I'm not terribly out of my mind. But yeah, D is a really kind of fun game. If you enjoy games of that type, I like Myst and I liked the Dracula point-and-click adventure games. I liked Burn Cycle. I like games like that that are kind of slow. There's some puzzle elements, not really any combat per se. Not really. It's mostly puzzle solving and wandering around. And D is incredibly slowly paced. Actually, if you go play it now, because you use the controller to move in a first-person perspective, but you move basically square by square, almost like a board game or one of the old dungeon crawler type games. The puzzles are really good. They're fun. They're challenging. But the game itself is paced in a way that you've kind of got to commit to it. And it's one of those games. Okay, so D, you have to beat it in a sitting. You can't save and come back to it in any way, shape, or form. So I like D because it kind of forced me to sit down, take it easy, and actually sit through and play an entire game in its entirety without stopping. So my choice was D.
What up, YouTube? This is Nate from Thrift Dweller, and today I'm shooting a video for our buddy Stu Fish. He asks, with fall coming, what games do you... what was the exact question? Question from Stu Fish was, a favorite game that you like to play in fall? And I'm thinking, when I read that question, I was like, what the heck constitutes a fall game? I'm thinking back to when I was like a kid, you know, and your summer's over, you banged out all your epic RPGs, you know, you banged out your Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 3 on the Super Nintendo, you beat Contra on the Super Nintendo and your Castlevania 4s, and then fall comes around, and school is starting, and for some reason I remember playing a lot of Donkey Kong Country on the Super Nintendo in the fall time as a kid, and I'm actually in the mood to play it right now. It's been a while since I've played it, but for some reason, the smell of the foliage, the sharp coolness in the air reminds me of Donkey Kong Country. I don't know. I'm just in the mood to play it, and that's my response to this video. But a little side note, with Halloween coming, this question reminded me of a game that I haven't beat yet. Now all of a sudden I'm in the mood to play it again. Splatterhouse for the PS3. Now that game came out early in like the PS3 life cycle, and you know, there's some criticism that it wasn't as a refined game, some slowdown, repetitive gameplay and such, but I really did enjoy Splatterhouse for the PS3, and with Halloween around the corner, I'm kind of in the mood to play it again, finally beat it. I think I got it to like level 4 or something, and I really did enjoy that game, so that would be my follow-up response to this question. Donkey Kong Country, for the nostalgia factor, that's the game I remember playing in the fall time as a kid, and for some reason I'm in the mood to play it again this fall, and Splatterhouse for the PS3. Ba-dum-bum.
Hey guys, how's it going? Mr. Dude 206 asks, what game do you like to play in the fall? And by fall I assume that you mean fall as in the season, and not the fall of mankind. With that in mind, I don't think the answers would change very much, to be honest, but basically I went through quite a few games, quite a few choices: Tetris, Daytona USA, Dodonpachi, but the game I eventually decided upon was Yakuza. More generally, more specifically, I should say, Yakuza 2. So, why is that? Basically, when I think about the fall, I think about traveling. In my younger days, that was always the case. It's less so the case these days. But yeah, during those times, I would always travel. I would always travel to Japan very specifically. And I guess that created an association between the fall and Japan. So I started thinking, what game most reminds me of Japan? And that made me think about Yakuza like right away. Probably because like all the settings are based on real life locations. So yeah, that was a pretty quick answer, I think. But specifically, my answer again, Yakuza 2. If you haven't played it, highly recommend it. 2 is my favorite. There's like 6, 7, 8 games out in the series now, and they just remade the first one in HD. So, the question, what is my favorite game to play in the fall? And my answer is Yakuza 2. Peace out.
Man, you too, man, it's been a long time since I've said those words. What's going on? What's the word? It's not an episode. I'm a part of this collaboration video on behalf of Mr. Dude. The man, the myth, the legend. He's got a friggin'... He plays Phantasy Star on an arcade machine. He asked me to be a part of this collaboration video. I'm sure there's some fucking awesome people that are involved here. I know Ed's doing something here. I'm sure Mike B's doing something. I'm sure all kinds of different cats are doing videos for this. So let me get straight to the point. What are the best games to play during the fall? What are my favorite games to play during the fall? What is my favorite game to play during the fall? I got 3 of them because you know me, I can't just pick one. Starts with, it's the beginning of the hockey season, so you gotta go BAM! NHL 94. You know what's interesting about this game? A lot of people, you know, the diehards know about this, but a lot of people don't know about this. In this game, they coded it wrong. So in other words, smaller players like Theo Fleury, for those of you who are old fucks like myself, Theo Fleury, he probably weighed about 150 pounds, 160 pounds. He can hit like a mofo because they coded it wrong. The smaller dudes in the game can actually hit harder than like Jeff Bookaboom or, you know, the bigger players. So, just so you know, next time you play NHL. Any iteration of this game, I'm not sure if you can see that. SimCity. SimCity 1, SimCity for the Super Nintendo. I've been playing the Steam version of Cities Skyline. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that one. Obviously, it's not a part of the SimCity franchise, and it actually does it better than the last SimCity I played, which I believe was 4. And I heard that the new SimCity was just an EA effing tragedy. So, yeah, what are the next 2? Come on. Absolute classics here. You got StarCraft and StarCraft Brood War. You know these 2 are awesome. They just came out with a revised edition, basically updated graphics, updated gameplay. I actually bought that game, and the problem is they could actually see your actions per minute, your APMs, and I'm awful. I didn't realize how shitty I was at that game until I started playing the remake or the updated version. So those are my 3 games. It's good to be back for about 2 minutes or whatever how long this is. It's good to be a part of this collab, and I'll see you guys next time.
So the Duderino asks, what games I like to play in the fall? And that's by far one of the easiest questions I've been asked this year, and that's Left 4 Dead 2.
Report unusual behavior. Barricade your homes. Avoid all contact with infected individuals.
Now, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that Left 4 Dead 2 would have been my first choice. That slot goes to Left 4 Dead 1, since I am a Left 4 Dead 1 fanboy. And yes, I was that crying, pouting little child when Left 4 Dead 2 came out and I didn't see the original characters return. I was just a crying little baby, like, why did they have to innovate on my game? Why? But my friend brought it over, and he told me, let's play it. I'm gonna win you over by playing this game with you. We're gonna do a 4-player multiplayer session. We had 4 different screens set up with 4 different Xboxes and 4 different games, and we were all managed to be on one team and one campaign, and it was a lot of fun because it was my friends playing with me. And the element of playing with Melee with that game was actually pretty cool. That was one of the things I didn't really like about the game at first. But when I got to play with my friends, it changed my mind completely. And it sold me on the fact that you can play Left 4 Dead 1 with the DLC in Left 4 Dead 2. So it made Left 4 Dead 1 game disc honestly obsolete. So my only game that's in my 360 that plays continuously throughout the year, and even more so during the fall, is Left 4 Dead 2.
Hey guys, Ryan, the RPG tour guide here. And when I think about fall, my mind immediately drifts to Halloween and all the fun things that go along with that. I'm sure it's the same for many of you out there. As far as fall games, you could obviously go with the classic horror staples there. Like you got your Silent Hills, your Fatal Frames, your Resident Evils. But I'd like to take a step back and talk about a game that was the precursor to Resident Evil. That'd be Sweet Home for the NES-ish. This game actually wasn't released for the American NES. It was only released out in Japan for the Famicom. And what I have here is a reproduction cart with a translated ROM on it. There, so I get to play it in English there. So, fun for me. Being the precursor to Resident Evil, you would think that maybe this would be some sort of weird 8-bit survival horror game. It has elements of that, but it's actually a turn-based RPG as far as combat and the majority of the gameplay goes. You and your party enter the Mamiya mansion and find out very quickly that it is haunted by the lady of the house, Lady Mamiya, wife of the late Ichiro Mamiya, a painter who you were going to investigate his lost artwork inside of this mansion. And you find all the creepy ghouls, ghosts, and let's not spoil too much about what you find inside there, because that's one of the great things about this game is the mystery that it's built up to. There are a bunch of different little clues, hints, and just little things thrown out throughout the game that really weave a tale that I am definitely not going to spoil for you here. This is a great game, even today, for as old as it is. Play it. You can't go wrong, especially this time of year. So there's one of my fall favorites.
When I think of games to play during the fall season, there's plenty of great choices. But there's one franchise in particular that, oh, you thought I was going to talk about Castlevania today, didn't you? Ha, not so predictable today, am I? Well, Splatterhouse. It certainly has its merits for being a great franchise to play during this fall season. But today we're going to take a look at a very weird, strange version, which is also a great game to play during the fall. Splatterhouse Wanpaku Graffiti for the Famicom.
Splatterhouse Wanpaku Graffiti was released exclusively on the Famicom in 1989. Sadly, despite the game being fully playable in English, it never made its way to Western shores. The game opens to a girl named Jennifer weeping over her boyfriend Rick's grave. Lightning strikes the grave and Rick is brought back to life, but sadly the celebrations must come to an end as the, Pumpkin King also comes back to life. Really, I mean, Pumpkin King, it's kinda generic, but we'll roll with it. Jennifer is whisked away, and it's up to Rick to save her. The graphics tend to mix the super deformed chibi-style sprites with a darker tone, but honestly, levels felt a bit barren at points. There's just so much open space in most cases that you feel as if the game's scale is too big, despite the simplicity of the gameplay. The music isn't very memorable, but kept me in the mood to play this spooky title. This game is designed more as a standard platformer than the beat-em-up entries in the series. Here, we seem to only rely on the butcher's axe that Rick uses to slice up his enemies. There's some pretty clever bosses, some of which have a lot of humor that adds a certain charm to this game. Splatterhouse Wanpaku Graffiti is definitely worth checking out, though with only 4 continues, you'll have a heck of a time beating it if you don't put some time into this one.
Hey guys, Russ Lyman here, and I wanted to tell you about my favorite game to play during the fall season. Weather's getting a little bit colder, you can put on that hoodie. October's around the corner, and one of my favorite games to pop into my Nintendo is Haunted Halloween 85. Now this is a new homebrew game that came out a couple years ago, put out by Retrotainment. There's also a sequel as well, but I always loved the original game. I did it as a review for one of my Halloween episodes here on my YouTube channel a couple years ago, but I always like going back to it. It has that creepy atmosphere. It takes place in the small city of Possum Hollow and follows main character Donnie. Now, Donnie's girlfriend's been kidnapped, and he comes to school to find out that everyone's been turned into zombies and the whole town is haywire. You go through a bunch of different levels, starting out at the school. You go to the mall that's abandoned, even head up a movie theater. Go off into the woods, cornfields, all this stuff that kind of surrounds the fall in that creepy atmosphere. I just love it. It's got fun mechanics, almost kind of looks like River City Ransom. Your health bar is a little bit different, where every time Donnie gets hit, he gets a little bit more paler until he finally turns into a zombie. But you can regain some health by eating candy corn. What better candy, right? If you guys haven't checked it out already, it's also on Steam, so you can pick it up and play it on your computer on Steam. Or if you want to get a physical copy, you could do so as well, or just order off their website. That's Haunted Halloween 85. It's definitely one of my favorite games to play during the fall season. It has a sequel as well, which I haven't dived too much into, but I always love going back to the original. So my recommendation for the fall is Haunted Halloween 85 on the NES.
Hey gamers, I'm Danny from Nintendo K channel. Today I actually have a question that was posed to me about one of my favorite games that I would play during the fall of this year. So I'm thinking back on my entire collection. One game that do stand out, especially with the upcoming release of Super Mario Odyssey for Nintendo Switch, is a classic game for the Nintendo 64, that is Super Mario 64. Now obviously when I was playing Super Mario Odyssey, a little demo of it, this does remind me of this game here that I played back in 1996 on Nintendo 64. Obviously I remember the time when I went to the Toys R Us, playing the demo hours, and I would just stand there. My family would just go shopping at a clothing store or whatever the case is, and with that I just stand with the kiosk, a bunch of kids looking at the screen. Obviously I was very short, and looking up at the screen is really harks back to that old days, that child's of innocence. I was innocent at that time, and what an amazing time to be a gamer, to understand and looking through a 3D world for the first time in history in video games. And looking back at this game, I remember when I got it in 1996 during the day of launch, I put so much hours into it, going to the varied worlds of the desert, lush greens, the tundra, I guess it's like a blizzard area, tons of varied environments that really takes me out in the world and explore the imaginative world of Super Mario 64. So this is really a timeless game for me, and I haven't played the game back since in 1996 when I got 120 stars, obviously unlocking Yoshi, that you climb up to the castle to you get a special ability. So this is a game that I definitely would revisit in the fall, especially right before Super Mario Odyssey releases. So hope you guys feel the same way, and definitely that is my game for playing in the fall coming up.
So it's been a while since I did an update. As you can hear, the zombie apocalypse is going crazy. I've been forced into my basement. Okay, I mean, I got a little setup here, right? I mean, Halloween's almost happening. Oh, I almost tripped. Yeah, I got a little ready to sit here, right? Halloween's almost up, and I figured, I should play some games, right? Some zombie games, so I can build up my skills, freshen up, because I gotta get upstairs and reclaim my house. But I made a problem. I forgot the systems. Dumb thing is, though, I brought games. I brought games, okay? And then I was trying to figure out what's my favorite Halloween game to play. And I could say Yakuza Dead Souls, but I don't got console to play that anymore because mine died. And I've had to use it to smash some zombie brains, and I haven't found a new one yet. And I used to be able to say Dead Rising, properly dropped. It's a fun game. It's great. It's great for apocalypse, which we're in. Okay, and I guess this is crazy upstairs. But I'm gonna have to go with Zombie U. Zombie U is the Halloween game. That is the jam. Zombie U, man, just prepares you. I mean, look at this. I mean, I heard last time before the outbreak that they were releasing it on other systems. I don't know. I'm in the freaking zombie apocalypse. I don't know about your guys' towns, but there's literally like zombies upstairs now. You can hear them, I'm sure. Oh man. So yeah, Zombie U. I had the Sega Stoner. You know, that's what I like to play on Halloween. Now, hopefully, I can get out and muster up the courage to go and get my console. I'm nervous. There's a lot of zombies upstairs. Anyways, I'm the Sega Stoner. Also, Being Trevor, and all these other channels that I have. So, people, oh my gosh, and maybe if you guys could just come and bring in the systems, fight upstairs, because I'm by myself right now. Because oh god, I gotta go. Ah!
Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you a game that I play in the fall time, I guess. I play this game actually quite often, and it's not the best game in the world, but this is Matsumura Kunihiro Den for the Super Famicom. This game is really cheesy. I don't know how to explain it, but it has a certain appeal to it as well. You can't even block on this game, but I guess it kind of gives you that type of feeling that you're playing a game that you are not very good at. And as far as the game goes, it has its ups and downs, but it's really different from anything I've played on the Super Famicom. There's quite a few games like this actually, and yeah, just a pretty awesome game. Once you get the hang of things, the game plays pretty well. But aside from that, it feels like you always play this game as if you were a beginner, and I think that's the appeal as far as this game is concerned. Thanks again for watching. This is Agent Zero for Yakuza Games, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
So the game I like playing during the fall most of the time, and I do it every year, survival horror, definitely Resident Evil 3. That's my favorite Resident Evil game in the series. It's not the best game in the series, I know that. That's between Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil Remake. But what I love about Resident Evil 3 is you have a real sense of escape in that game. You're really trying to get out of Raccoon City. You're being stalked by a monster, nemesis. It's just very intense, and it feels like the game is really fast-paced, and I love that kind of feeling in a Resident Evil type game. The first two Resident Evils weren't like that, at least to my point of view. But Resident Evil 3 just really puts you out there, and it actually gives you more moves. Like you can have a dodge move, but that move doesn't work as well all the time. But going back to talk about Nemesis, Nemesis is, man, he is really intense, and this guy can follow you through doors. He comes out of nowhere. He's just so unsuspected, and it brings that tension to you. So Resident Evil 3 is definitely a high mark in the series for me, even though it wasn't originally supposed to be a Resident Evil main series game. It was supposed to be a side story, but I'm glad that they made it the way it is. They put the 3 on there where it belongs. And another cool thing about it is it's actually a prequel and a sequel to Resident Evil 2. It takes place 24 hours before Resident Evil 2 and 24 hours after Resident Evil 2, which is really cool. So I played Nemesis. I bought it the day it came out, and I remember beating it the first night I got it. And this is the first Resident Evil game that the first Resident Evil game I actually didn't beat the first night was Resident Evil Code Veronica. That game was long. Resident Evil 3 I beat the first night, but man, that water puzzle was very unnerving, man. It was crazy, but I got a lot of enjoyment out of the game. I actually beat the game and unlocked all the epilogues, and to unlock all 8 epilogues you have to beat the game 8 times. I did all that. I mean, I just really went through this game, and a lot of people overlook Resident Evil 3. I don't think that should be the case. It's one of the better titles. It's not as long, but it's more action oriented, and you get a lot of good weapons in the game, so Resident Evil 3 is more like it's definitely the Resident Evil game I could go through at all times. I played the hell out of Resident Evil 2, and I think I burnt myself out in Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 3, I would say I played more now, and I'm still not burnt out on that game. I could play it all the time. It's just very cool. Heck, I might be able to do speed runs. Who knows? But anyways, I'm yammering on, man. Resident Evil 3, definitely my game of the fall.
What's going on, guys? So, some fall and wintertime games that I enjoy. or have enjoyed. And I right off the bat, Sweet Home comes to mind. I played and beat this probably 2 winters ago with a buddy of mine, and it actually surprised me. I had a good time playing it. It was kind of creepy too for an NES game. That says a lot. But Sweet Home's definitely one of my picks. So if you guys haven't played this and you get a chance to, I definitely recommend it. But other than this game, I guess this winter, since I get more video game time, I'm not like mowing grass and doing all the outdoor chores. Or, you know, a lot of my buddies like to go kayaking and fishing and camping and stuff like that. So it soaks up a lot of the video game time. But this, I guess this fall, this winter, I'm going to try and knock out some RPGs that I've been meaning to play. Let me see. I'm going to start with Secret of Mana 2, I think. Honestly, I haven't beat Secret of Mana 1 yet, but it takes me forever to actually get the time to play through an entire RPG. That I don't want to mess with Secret of Mana 1 right now. I've played several hours of it, and I'm gonna just jump right into this one to see if it see what it's about. But yeah, we'll play through the intro. Depending on how long it is anyway. I actually haven't, I just bought this, it's like a repro cart, it's like 20 bucks or something, and it just came in a few days ago. Looks like it's going to be a long intro. Yeah, apparently they never released this in America. So when I got a chance to get a repro cart that's dubbed in English or translated, I jumped on it. Looks like it should be cool though. Other than this game, right before I started this video, I downloaded a demo on the Switch. You can see this there. But it's called Octopath Traveler. I don't know anything about this game, but it looks just like a kind of like a Super Nintendo RPG. And if it is, I'm gonna like it. So yeah, man, if you guys are into RPGs and you haven't tried any of these games, definitely, you know, take a look. Hopefully this one turns out to be cool. But yeah, I just finished a download before I started the video, so I haven't got to check any of it out yet. But anyways, you guys have a good one. Peace.
Hey folks, how's it going? 64-bit Matthew here, for the maybe 2 or 3 people who remember who I am. Mr. Dude 206, an awesome YouTuber, asked me if I would be a part of his fall video in regards to video gaming in the fall, and I said of course, because he is a great man, a myth, a legend, and just all around good guy. So anyway, that's what I'm here for. Talk about what game I like to play in the fall. Now, for the couple people that remember me, they might have guessed, but my answer, and I'll give a little bit of a backstory first. The reason I like this game is because I live in a small farming community. I grew up in the small farming community. I live here to this day. And where I live, because we're surrounded by farms, the land is very flat. In the fall, that's harvest time. Nothing but harvest, combines, tractors everywhere. And that's just a big part of the area where I live. So whenever I think of fall, I think of that. And it actually makes me play one of my favorite games of all time, or one of my favorite franchises, and that is the Harvest Moon franchise. There's quite a few games in the franchise, but I'm going to talk to you about my 2 favorite games. First up, Harvest Moon 64, a wonderful port of the game. This is the first Harvest Moon game I played growing up, and it's still my favorite to this day. Very good game, lots to do, really fun graphics. It's just a really fun game. So that's the first one I played. I played one of the Game Boy ones as well. It's a good port. But my second favorite, and the one I'm going to show you here, is Harvest Moon Save the Homeland. A little bit different style than the N64 one, but very cool graphics, very fun gameplay. The whole farming aspect is there. Yeah, just lots to do. So yeah, in the fall, because of where I live and the fact that it's very much concentrated on the harvest, it always makes me think of these games, and I tend to play them in the fall. And yeah, Harvest Moon games, I like them, and they're what I play in the fall. So thanks, Mr. Dude 206, for having me be a part of this video. So
Hello everybody, Jim here from the Kids Sure You Can channel, participating in this nice little community collab on the Mr. Dude 206 channel, which he has graciously invited me to be a part of, and he's asked us what a game is we like to play in the fall. And I had to really think about this one, because I suppose I never really considered it, what seasons I like to play different games in. The more I thought about it, there are definitely games that I prefer to play in winter and summer as well, but the fall I had to think about it a little bit. The first thing that came to mind was maybe like some horror games or what have you, because those are always more fun to play in October. But then a game that came to my mind pretty quickly was Shadow of the Colossus. And this is a game where a lot of your time is spent just roaming around the wilderness, kind of taking in nice vistas and just appreciating the details and the look of nature that the game is trying to capture. And that's actually something that I like to do in the fall, especially here in Japan, which is, I mean, it looks like awesome all year round, all 4 seasons, what have you, but the fall is very nice here. Lots and lots of wooded areas and temples and things like that where the leaves are turning and falling to the ground. It's really nice. So I do like to go out and enjoy a bit of time when the air is nice and crisp and the leaves are turning and falling. And I kind of get that impression when I play Shadow of the Colossus. It's just a game, but it feels like in the context of the game, the air is still. It seems like it would be kind of like crisp autumn air. There are lots of different environments, but for the most part, you're going to be seeing green grass and trees and a lot of rocks and stuff. And it just makes me think, especially certain wooded areas make me think of forests in the fall. So I guess that's a game that I prefer to play in the fall, because the look of the game kind of reflects the look of the actual, natural world around me. I think it's a beautiful game. It's obviously a lot of fun going around and killing giant colossi, but when you're not doing that, you have all kinds of simulated natural beauty to appreciate. And again, yeah, some of the areas are misty, and they're wooded areas and open fields, and everything just feels very kind of still and quiet, and you can just kind of look and appreciate the game world. And it makes me think of walks that I like to go on in the autumn time. So when you're not killing giant monsters, you're just appreciating all this simulated natural beauty. So there you go. Shadow of the Colossus is a game that I like to play in the fall. And that's the answer to your question, Mr. Dude 206. And thank you for having me.
You feel that? The air is just so crisp. That's because fall is once again in the air. And when I think of fall, I think of a lot of things. I'm Canadian, so I think of the crisp leaves, hockey coming back on TV, drinking milk, from bags and playing video games? Reason I'm here today is Mr. Dude 206, Stu, has kindly enough asked me to take part in this video. And what's my favorite game to play in the fall? Well, the other thing about fall that gets me really excited, gets my jimmies wrinkled, is Halloween's right around the corner. So of course, I like playing horror-themed games. And no horror-themed game captured me as much and made me want to play it every year more than Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th has been a game that I've been playing for a very long time. In fact, going back to the first time I really wanted to play it in the fall, I had actually rented it from a rental store and just kept it like the entire summer. And I actually had to bring it back in the fall. So I've always had that feeling of, missing out on an opportunity of finishing it. So when I actually did finish it for the first time about 2 years ago, basically I started in September and that's all I did. I just played Friday the 13th over and over and over and over again until I got good enough to actually beat it. And that's what the game is. It's not extremely hard. People crap on it and say that it's not a fantastic game. It really is. It's just a very inventive game, and once you know how to play it, it's only a matter of getting good enough to beat it. And once you do, you can beat it easier and easier. Just gotta understand what you're doing, and it can be super complex for somebody without the capacity to understand, like me when I was younger. So yeah, I gotta say, like, thinking back on it, Friday the 13th, definitely with Halloween on the way, that's the game I like to play. And also, you get that sense of summer being over and still trying to recapture it by going to a summer camp and getting slaughtered. Yeah, Friday the 13th, that's my game.
Electric Adventures here with my favourite game I like to play in the fall, or winter as we call it over here in Australia. Now you poor US people are heading into your winter, whereas we're supposed to be going out of ours. It is spring now, but for some reason we've had the coldest weather we've had all winter in this last week. So it's absolutely freezing at the moment, so I have the heater on. So my favourite game, now although I didn't get to play it this year because I've been a bit busy with things, but this game I actually do play on a regular occasion over. It's a big game and it's actually for the PC, it's not for any of my consoles, and it is the Icewind Dale series of, I suppose, it's a party-based RPG based on the Forgotten Realms Dungeons and Dragons games. This is the complete collection. I played them separately back in the day until I got this collection, and used this to play it through multiple times. I also have rebought the games again from Good Old Games, because that allows me to play them on modern machines without having to worry about running old versions of Windows. And it really is one of my favourite games of pretty much all time. So it's a game that I like to play when I've got a bit of when I've got holidays or a bit of time on my hands, and to just sit and play through it. It's got a lot of replayability in it, of course, because you can select a different party every time you go through. So great game, highly recommended if you haven't played it. Also related to this one, it is of course the lovely Baldur's Gate series, which I also play on a regular occasion as well. So, thanks Stu, I'll leave it up to you.
Alright, I have to start the video out by admitting I had a little bit of trouble with this question. What games do you like to play in the fall? There aren't really any games that I like playing in the fall that I don't also like to play any other time of year. If you subtract Halloween from the question, which you did, people associate fall with early evenings and cooler temperatures, and I play almost all of my video games in an air-conditioned basement with a Star Wars poster over the only window, so it's always cold and dark down here. It's not any easier when I think back to my childhood, because I played most of my games in a basement back then too. We were a family of 8 living in an old farmhouse, and my older brother Joe and I were forced to play our Atari VCS on a 13-inch television in the basement. I guess I'll have to change the question for myself to, what game do you most associate with creepy old basements? regardless of the time of year. Haunted House on the 2600 is the game that I most associate with creepy basements, because the basement in my childhood home was really creepy. To start off with, it was well over 100 years old, and everybody that lived there thought it was haunted. The basement was dark even during the day, and there was this room with a dirt floor that I swear to you we actually found bones buried in once. The furnace, well, if you imagine the furnace from The Burbs, you won't be too far off.
This is no ordinary furnace.
It might seem silly to you now, but I can remember being afraid the first time I played Haunted House down there. I was 5, maybe 6, and my brother and I had just bought the game from Kmart that evening. It was dark, quiet, the flames from the furnace cast an unearthly glow some places and eerie shadows others, with nothing but the orb of light cast from the tiny television to protect me from the horrors lurking just out of sight. I don't know what it is, man. There is just something about the artwork on this box, combined with the atmosphere of that old cellar, and the almost heartbeat-like sounds coming from the speaker of that tiny television, that inspired my imagination to conjure creatures in the dark. I have never personally experienced anything that I couldn't explain away, but to this day, I cannot shake the feeling that there are always unseen eyes watching me from the dark.
Okay, what's going on, Keith? Mr. Dude 206, a good buddy of mine here on YouTube. And yeah, hello to all of the viewers of the Mr. Dude 206 channel. This is going to be sort of a collaboration type of video with Keith, and I believe several other YouTubers are also going to be participating in this video as well. And basically the question or the topic was just what is your favorite game to play during the fall-autumn season? And yeah, for me, it would I would have to say it would have to be Fantastic Night Dreams Cotton, Cotton Original. This is the port of the game to the PS1. Originally, and it's by success, by the way, the game first appeared on the Sega System 16B hardware back in 1991, and shortly thereafter, I believe it received ports to both the X68K, as we call it on the streets, the X68000 Japanese gaming PC, and the PC Engine Super CD-ROM as well, both of those ports coming in 1993. But this PlayStation 1 port, many years later, this one actually came out in 1999, but very cool that it did, and it's an incredibly faithful port. The alterations that it received, in terms of the music, the quality is much higher with the CD quality of the PS1 in comparison to the original arcade board. And there are a couple of little things here and there in some of the stages that are sort of changed around, altered a little bit. But by and large, for the most part, a very faithful port, pretty much the most accessible. So in that regard, and just due to how accurate it is, I'd say the best way to play this fantastic arcade game. And love the cover art on the manual right there. As we can see, here is the game running on a Sony Trinitron, a 27-inch. And a beautiful game. But, you know, actually let's kill the lights so you can actually enjoy this game like goodness. You know, it wouldn't be a CRT game type of production without some scanline close-up shots, correct? So, have to provide that. But yeah, in terms of how I've got this game running right now, it's hooked up to a Japanese PS2. I should mention that the game was only ported to the PS1 in the NTSC-J region. Didn't receive a port in the West, but yeah. Have my Japanese PS2 hooked up to this 27-inch Trinitron via component, and oh, fantastic picture. Beautiful. Of course, the PS2 being backward compatible, a great way to play this game in fantastic component 240p. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's just a great game to play during the fall, autumn season, being that this is the time of year for Halloween, and hell, Cotton's a witch, right? So, and just the visuals, the imagery, the theme of the game, very much centered around that type of thing. You're engaging in combat with all these ghouls, ghosts, monsters, giant pumpkins, skeletons, things of that nature. So really tailor-made to kind of play this game in October near Halloween. So that is why I enjoy to play it during this time of year. Focus in on that witch, man. She's bobbing all over the place there. But yeah, I love Cotton, just an iconic character for shmup games. And yeah, I think I've rambled on long enough. I think Keith wanted this to be a couple of minutes or so. Sorry, you know, if I go over it a little bit, I can't help myself. I just ramble on. But yeah, Keith, I'm gonna end it right here. Thanks so much, buddy, for allowing me to be a part of this and participate in it. And yeah, talk to all of y'all soon. Take care.
Hello friends of Mr. Dude 206. My name is Andrew from Retro Island Gaming. And you know what? Here in Hawaii, we don't really have seasons. Okay, I suppose we have like mango season, lychee season, durian season, but there's never any good excuse not to go out, to hit the beach every day of the year, especially with all the eye candy out there. That said, I still love to load up a certain game once a year. And a staple for fall has to be Diablo 2. Or it's more like this, huh? The original Diablo by Blizzard was wildly addicting with its online play and randomizing dungeons, but it had some nagging issues like the unbearably slow movement. The expansion Hellfire helped somewhat, but it wasn't compatible with online play, making players like myself lose interest. Then finally, Diablo 2 and its expansion took everything awesome about the original and just expanded on it. This game just blew my expectations away. Whoa. 7 classes to play, branching skill trees allowing intense character customization, 5 huge acts with numerous quests each, epic act bosses, and more loot than anyone could ever collect. I was in love, and even now I am still in love. My favorite classes to play are the Amazon, Sorceress, or Necromancer. The destruction left behind after a volley of those enchanted frozen arrows, or the flying javelins backed with lightning fury, are so satisfying. These poor cows don't stand a chance. The Sorceress and her frozen orb always felt so cheap, but damn if I can't enjoy myself tossing them into the fray and just melting everything to nothingness. And what can top a summoner necromancer with his army of skeletons waiting for one enemy to drop just to start a deadly chain reaction of corpse explosions? Nothing! And nothing has since. The customization possibilities that exist in each class creates numerous replayability. In fact, it's best to have a few different characters to help trade loot around in case you find that unique axe that your paladin can't use.
I can't use this yet.
But would make a killer axe-wielding barbarian character. Collecting loot is most of the fun. Unique items are showstoppers, but finding all items of a set can be just as exhilarating. Thankfully, it doesn't stop there. Whether it's gems to enhance gear or runes to make special rune words like Insight, there's always something to add to the inventory stash on each expedition to Hell. By the way, if you're gonna play hardcore, like the hardcore gamer you are. Creating a hardcore character means the character stays dead if it dies. Game over. And this really creates a new dynamic while planning and playing the character. Those close calls become heart-stopping, and after conquering a difficult segment, you'll feel absolutely awesome for pulling it off. Plus, one of the benefits of returning once a year is joining the Diablo 2 Ladder Reset. This forces everyone to start with brand new characters as we all race to see who survives to level 99 first. Plus, it allows different rune words to be created that only ladder characters can unlock. So that's my game for fall. I love returning back to Diablo 2 once a year. And if it's been a while for you, or if you haven't even played it, well, go get it, load it up.
So I guess in closing, I wanted to go ahead and show you the game that reminds me of fall, and that I choose to pick up every year around this time of year. It's not typically a Halloween game, but it happens to be Tenchu, the Stealth Assassins for the Sony PlayStation 1. I played this so many times in high school. Me and my friends would trade this back and forth. I think I originally played it as a demo on a PlayStation magazine when I used to get that back as a kid. And I just love the graphics, and I especially love the intro to this because it was so classic. And the FMVs back then, or the, not the FMVs, but you know what I mean, the PlayStation 1 graphics and the way they did like the high res or high def stuff was just so legit. And I just would play this game over and over, and still to this day I play it over and over because I would master this game through all the stages and get like AAA plus or triple plus A, and just just be killing shit. Plus, it's if you've ever played this game, the beginning of it is so hilarious because it says Lord Golda expects as much of you. It's just the broken English is hilarious too. So that's just one of my games that I love to play in the fall. It's not a Halloween game by any means, but definitely has that kind of feel and vibe whenever I think of playing this game. So that was that. I want to thank everybody that's contributed and everyone that's watching this video currently. Much appreciated, because in my collaborations I like to have everybody join in and share their thoughts and feelings about this shit. So I hope you watched the whole thing. If you watched the whole thing, and go ahead and please check out all the channels below because they're all awesome and wonderful. So until the next one, Mr. Dude 206, I'm out.